data link, network transfer, and application. In the application layer, we have seen a number of applications such as the email, the domain name system, the World Wide Web, and we discussed a bunch of other applications that need to be using the network. Now, today we'll talk about network security, which is in its own chapter, because the network security doesn't happen at one particular layer from all these layers that we have been studying, but it happens it can be implemented in all of the layers in a different way. So each layer is contributing somehow to securing network systems. So why are we spending our time talking about network security? Why is this an important subject? When we first created the first networks, and only a few universities were connected and they were exchanging some scientific information, then network security was not so important. But today we have millions of commercial companies and ordinary citizens connected to the network and doing various activities through the network. Can you think of any potential issues, reasons why we need to secure the network communications for ordinary citizens?
Confidential. Classified documents like probably like bank accounts.
Okay, so these regular citizens are sending some sort of personal information through the network that they want to be secured. One example of that, the student said bank accounts, which means students are doing banking through the network. They're doing online banking. Obviously, we don't want other people seeing our bank accounts and or somehow interfering with our bank accounts through the network. What kind of other information would you want to protect? Like, think about everyday activities that we do on the network.
Shopping.
Shopping.
Personal information.
Yes, so shopping, personal information. Yes, so when we are doing shopping, then what? We are sending, again, credit card numbers through the network. We might be sending social security numbers if, for example, we're filing our taxes. So regular citizens are using network for contacting governments for taxes. So sending social securities, addresses, and other personal information. So who wants to cause problems on the network? Who are the people that would interfere with the network communications and try to cause any issues?
Bad guys.
So we have some sort of bad guys or malicious users who intentionally we want to cause problems. So we have malicious users who are intentionally either trying to get some benefit or they're trying to get attention. These are like the hacker guys. I am the smartest person in the world. I can hack any security system and crack any security system out there. And I'm going to show you. These are the type of people, they just want to get some attention and show the world how smart they are. Or we have people that are truly trying to harm someone. Can you give an example? Look on the screen.
How about a rival company?
What company?
A rival company. They might want to steal their rival secrets.
Okay, so we might have one company trying to steal trade secrets and gain competitive advantage by stealing other companies' products, designs, or proprietary information. So this would be, to discover competitors' strategic marketing plan, for example. Other examples here we have students. Students are more like the hackers or the crackers that are just trying to read other students' emails or get into their personal files or have crazy boyfriends and girlfriends trying to read each other's emails and things like this. And, I've had that before. I had my email password cracked by boyfriends before trying to read my emails. So, or it could be a software developer that worked for some software company and wrote some software. Like, let's say it worked for Microsoft Corporation. I was writing the next version of Windows, and then left some little backdoor in the code so they can get in later on for whatever reasons they need to get access to the corporate network or whatever, or log into certain Windows systems without a password, for example. I wrote a little line of code in there for that. Accountants try to embezzle money from a company, and then this is a special case that either a stockbroker denies promise that was made, or the customer themselves purchased some stocks that went down and they lost a lot of money, and they purchased them through the network, and they said, oh, I did never purchase that. I never bought these things. So the customer is denying that they bought whatever they bought. And then we have some really more serious adversaries, like such as spies, trying to learn military secrets or industrial secrets, or even terrorists. So they have to do with military espionage. So if we think about it, if our task is to secure the network, and these are the kind of adversaries that we need to deal with, then we need to think that making the network secure involves outsmarting some often intelligent, dedicated, and sometimes well-funded adversaries. Well-funded because if there are military spies, then it's in another country's whole government that is money-wise supporting this. This adversity. If we think about network security, we have four main areas that we need to consider. We have four categories. The first one is called secrecy or confidentiality. That has to do with the first issues that you mentioned earlier about the shopping, credit cards, and bank accounts. This is personal information that needs to be kept out of hands of unauthorized users. The second category is called authentication. This helps us determine that this person we're speaking to really is or are who they say they are. In other words, we need to be sure who we're speaking to before reviewing sensitive information. The third category is called non-repudiation. This has to do with what you said about the stockbrokers. So some customer bought some stocks, they lost a lot of money from them, and then they said they never bought them. How can we prove that they actually did? Normally, how would we prove that if there were no computer systems involved? If there were no networks involved? So if we go and buy a house, for example, we're going to buy a house and we have some paperwork that we need to sign, and once we placed our signature on there, that's it. We bought the house. We can't say we didn't buy it anymore because that's ours. So we need to implement very similar scenario in this situation. So what we do is we use digital signatures to verify that whatever was purchased really was purchased, and we have a proof of that. So it deals with signatures. So if customer placed an order, we can prove that they did place the order if they claim that they did not. And the last category is called integrity control. So, if we have a network and we're sending something through the network, that gets sent out in the form of a packet, as we have already seen. This packet is traveling through the network. Anyone who is on that network and is connected to that network can view the packets that are traveling through the network through some network monitoring software, network sniffer, and they can view all the packets that go through. Now, if the packets are not encrypted, this means that they have the TCP header in the front of them and the IP header and whatever other headers we have seen in all the network layers. And underneath is the actual data, and this data is sent in plain text. And anyone can read it. For example, when emails are sent out, they're sent in plain text. Anyone can read our emails because usually they're not encrypted. So the email is not a secure application. So if we don't want the text to be plain text, then we need to do something to encrypt it and make it unreadable. Either way, integrity control has to do with making sure that the message that we receive is the same message which was sent to us. In other words, the message has not been modified in transit. So, not only that we can see what is being sent and read it, but certain adversaries or intruders can try to change the message that is being sent, change it, and put it back on the network. So they modify it. Why would they want to do this? So we have two types of intruders. Some of them are just passively listening, which means they're just reading information. This could be like the military spies that are trying to learn military secrets or messages being sent. They're just curious what it says. They're not doing anything with it on the network. And then we have active intruders that will pick up the message and change it. Such as, well, I am withdrawing $1,000 from my bank account and I am transferring it to another bank account. So the intruder will pick that up and they can change it. Instead of $1,000, they can say $2,000 or they could change the bank account to which it's getting transferred to their own bank account and just get $1,000 in their account. So in truth, there are several kinds of reasons that they want to modify the message that is being in transit, that's currently being in transit. So integrity control has to do with making sure that whatever was sent is what we receive, and the message has not been modified in transit. Now, we said that this network security that we're talking about is not happening in any specific layer. It can happen in any of the layers. In physical layer, we can't do much other than using physical protection measures because it's a physical layer. So we could use locks and we could use doors, things like this. Sometimes that has some sort of an effect and to protect information on network. Physical, like smart cards, you need to use the smart card. It's a physical thing in order to log into that network, for example, or use some kind of biometric device. Or locks, doors, buildings, things like this. We might have a protective layer shield on fiber optic cables to prevent tampering with the cables. Now, how about the firewall? We talked about the firewall just earlier for the exercise. Which layer is the firewall in? Firewall is a security mechanism that would block the unused ports in hopes that would decrease unwanted connections from crackers and viruses and things like this. Which layer is the firewall sitting in? It's not a physical layer, it's not a data link layer.
The transport layer.
It's not a transport layer. And so the firewall is in the network layer. In the network layer we have firewall. Also we have something called IPsec, which is secured version of the IP protocol. Yes? In the application layer, we have all of these other things that we just talked about here. Digital signatures are happening in the application layer. Authentication, when you're asking for username and passwords, or authenticating people. And it's happening in the network, in the application layer. So here you can do authentication and non-repudiation. And digital signatures, which have to do with this non-repudiation. In the transport layer, we can encrypt entire connections. So I said earlier, when we're sending the email is sent in clear text, in plain text. If we don't want people to read in our emails, then we need to do something about it. We need to encrypt them somehow. So one way to do this is to use cryptography, and we will see how cryptography works in a second. We have something called ciphertext. The ciphertext is the encrypted plaintext. So it's either character by character or bit by bit. Transformation. Or some sort of algorithm is used to convert the plaintext into an unreadable junk, pretty much. If you take the network monitor and try to read the ciphertext, it looks like a bunch of Chinese alphabets to me. It's unreadable. So some sort of encryption method is used to do this, which is a function transformed by function we'll call it E, and an encryption algorithm, and it uses a key to do that. And it's using a one-way function that once this formula is followed, or this method is followed, it's very difficult to go back and obtain the plaintext by using this encryption key. So in order to obtain back the plaintext, we need to follow a decryption method and use a special decryption key. Now, this decryption key, the idea is that the only person who has this key is the person that's supposed to read the message, and they are the only ones that can decrypt it using the key, because the key is on their machine. So typically that key is generated on that machine, and it never leaves the machine through the network for any reason to decrease chances of that key being copied or obtained by network intruders. So supposedly the only person that can read the message is the one that has a decryption key, which is only one of these keys and only one computer, and was created there. It never left that machine. So the idea here, what is shown is that the ciphertext is equal to applying encryption method with encryption key to the P, which is P is the plaintext. Plaintext is the message that we want to send. And the opposite is true. To obtain the plaintext, we need to apply decryption algorithm and decryption key to the ciphertext. Plaintext encryption method using encryption key. The intruder obviously has access. We assume that the intruder has access to all of the messages that we are sending. In this case, is encrypted. The intruder knows the method that we're using. They also know the decryption method. The only thing they don't know and they don't have is the decryption key. And the reason that happens is because in the beginning they try to keep secret the methods and the encryption key, but that did almost never work. So currently the only thing that's kept secret is the decryption key. This is called Kretkow's principle. All algorithms must be public. Only keys are secret. Now, there are some cases which are called symmetric key encryption, where the encryption and the decryption of the key is the same. In that case, the key has to be transmitted through the network, and we have some complex algorithms to send it back and forth without danger for being compromised. With public key encryption, we have two keys. One of these is public and one is private. So there are two different keys. The public key can be used to encrypt the messages, but the only way to decrypt them is by using a private key, which is not related to the network. So there are, in a sense, two pairs of keys. So that's why he says keys here, and not key. Krakow principles. Let's look at a simple method. This method was used in the World War by the Germans, by the Enigma machine, to encode messages during the war. And of course, back then they didn't have computers, such advanced machines. The Enigma machine was the only thing they had to encrypt their messages during the war. The Americans managed to crack this encryption without computers, through much clerical work in paper. And at a certain point, so they were winning during that time, because the Germans were so sure their Enigma code could not be cracked that they didn't even bother to worry that someone could be reading their messages. But at a certain point, they changed the code and the Enigma machine. And for about 6 months, the Americans did not have access to the messages. They couldn't crack them, and they lost a lot of soldiers and a lot of ships during that time. They were pretty much losing the war. So many lives were given cracking this thing. This is did I give you this for homework? I think I didn't give you this for homework. I think there are no more homeworks now. But if you're interested in trying to crack one of these, try to do the first exercise from Chapter 8. It's asking you to crack one of these codes. Now, this is called a monoalphabetic cipher, and the way it works, it just switches one letter with another letter. For example, here, the letter A is changed to Q, B is changed to W, and C to E, D to R, and so on. So this is called character by character transformation. So this is the monoalphabetic substitution cipher. This is in a sense a symmetric key algorithm, because the same key is used for encryption that it is used for decryption. Each letter or group of letters is replaced another letter. Now, cryptanalysis knows the general system. They know that's what was done. The only thing they don't know is the key. Just like we said, the key is the only secret part in encryption. What is the key here? It's a 26-letter key. So, because there are 26 letters in the English alphabet, and this is English. So, how many possible keys there are? If we were to use a brute force attack and try and do all the possible keys here, how many possible combinations of 26 letters there are? 26 factorial. So there are 26 factorial keys, possible keys, that we need to try in order to crack this. That's a lot. If you don't have a computer, think about it. They didn't have it during the war. They're doing this on paper. That's not what the problem is. That's the strength of this algorithm. There are a lot of keys that you can't possibly try them on. Well, how do you think they cracked this?
They look for patterns.
So they look for patterns. They look for patterns. So the way it was cracked by statistical patterns or properties of the language. So, for example, in English language, certain letters happen more often than others. For example, the letter E happens most often in English language, in English words and text. So they look for patterns, which means they, let's say, start counting the number of times that each letter occurred in the text. And the letter that occurred most often, they assume that's E, because E is the one that occurs most often in English language. The next most often happening letter is T. The next is O. The next is A. So then knowing that, we would search for the next most often happening letter associated with T, associated with O. Then start looking for diagrams, or diagrams are combinations of two letters. For example, TH happens most often, IN next, ER next, and so on. And this is how they cracked it. Of course, that was applied into the German language and not the English language back then. So this is a monoalphabetic cipher. Another type of cipher that we have is called transposition cipher. So here I said it could be character by character, bit by bit, or it could be word by word. So in this transposition cipher, we would reorder the letters instead of trying to disguise them. called column transposition. The key is a word which does not contain any repeating letters. In this case, the key is a word called megabuck. That's placed on the top. And next, the text follows. But we would reorder the text based on columns. And this is in alphabetical order. So the letter A is the first letter in the alphabet. So first column would be under A. The B is the second letter in the alphabet, so second column is B. C is the third letter, so under C is the third column. The plain text: please transfer $1 million to my CIS bank account 622. So this is the text if you read here. Please transfer $1 million into my CIS bank account 622. And so this is ordered under the columns. In order to create the cipher text, we would take the first column. So A, F, L, L, S, K, S, O. That's what it's here. A, F, L, L, S, K, S, O. The next is the second column. Under B, S, E, L, A, S, E, L, A, W, A, I, A. And the next, the third column comes. This is done with characters. We could break this, there's a method that breaks this down to bits, and these are basically the ASCII representations of each character. And do you remember the ASCII is using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In this case, it's using 7-bit codes. The ASCII representation of each word. So with this one-time pass, we would choose a random bit string as the key. I believe this one is saying I love you. I love you, and it has a space. So this is I space LOVE space YOU, comma. So this is the ASCII representation of the string I love you. We would convert the string into plain text using bit string. And then we do an XOR of the two strings. So the cipher text is an XOR of the first and the second string here. If we do this, we no longer have that issue. The one letter is more likely to occur than other letters. If we do this XOR situations, then the statistical properties of language no longer apply because all possible plain texts are equally likely. Because if we take the original message and XOR it with a different string, we could get the same letters reordered in different ways, such as this is saying Elvis leaves, which is the same letters as I love you. XOR'd with a different string.